I'm Mike Henigan. I'm the committee manager for the technical committee. Although I'm employed by BSI in the UK, my role in ISO is strictly neutral to make sure the ISO rules and processes are followed, and to provide support and guidance to Peter as the chair, as well as all of our national member body liaison organisations and experts. Firstly, the membership structure, as Peter mentioned, we've got 23 participating members and 14 observer members out of our 164 ISO member bodies. We've got currently 11 external liaison organisations involved. So we're pleased with the membership to date as a relatively new technical committee, but obviously very keen to build up the range of stakeholders involved in our work, not only within the existing membership, but to involve new members and new liaison organisations, and also particularly with what ISO terms developing countries. So, I'm very pleased to see how many experts we've got joining this webinar from all over the world. I think we've had 60 countries represented, so that's a good start, and we want to build on what we've done already. Next slide, please. You've already seen this slide from Peter, but these are the sorts of experts that we'd like to see involved. So it's a very broad spectrum. Next slide, please. So in terms of how to get involved, in ISO, the main option is for you to be nominated by the national member body where you're based. There's a link embedded in the slide, so you'll be able to see the list of ISO, full list of ISO members. Firstly, you've got to be involved with the National Mirror Committee established by the member. There could be an existing National Mirror Committee with relevant expertise. So you could, for example, go to the experts on TC 207 on environmental management, which has its 14,000 series in its portfolio, including the ISO 14001, which is environmental management systems. There are a couple of other standards that are being developed under TC 207. There's also the 1430 series on green debt instruments under the subcommittee 4 in 207. And I've mentioned their asset management committee. There's also sustainable cities and communities governance and social responsibility, which is ISO 26000. So there are existing experts at national level that you could work with and sort of get involved through them. If there isn't an existing committee, you could request work with your national member body to set up a new mirror committee. That might take a bit of time, but we intend to be around for a long time. So if that takes time, it's not a problem. But each national member body has its own rules, its own processes and structures. And some of them are open to any experts who can prove their expertise. Others have paid membership. But if you're not sure who to contact, I'm very happy to help you with some introductions. Next slide, please. The other option is for an external liaison organisation to apply to join the technical committee. That organisation can then nominate experts to participate in our work. We already have a number of those involved, but we welcome new ones, whether sort of global organisations or regional organisations. Any organisation must meet the ISO criteria, not-for-profit, sort of membership-based with a worldwide or broad regional membership, the relevant competence and expertise, and in particular, they've got to have a process for stakeholder engagement and consensus decision-making. Once it's confirmed that you meet the organisation meets those criteria, then the application is approved by a ballot of the TC 322 membership, and the liaison may then nominate its experts to the TC and its working groups, and is treated as any other member, The only exception is that it can't vote in any ballots, but the organisation may submit comments. Next slide, please. So as an individual expert, you can be nominated either by your national member body or by the liaison organisation. This can be at the technical committee level, where you represent the member and have oversight of all the projects and potential projects, as well as the overall strategy of the committee. Or it can be at working group level, or any other groups within the TC structure, where you can provide your expertise and be involved in the detailed drafting. Different experts can be appointed to each group depending on their expertise and the topic under discussion. Your level of involvement depends really on partly on what your member body or liaison organisation wants you to be involved in, but obviously your own availability and commitment. As I say, the detailed work could mean that you're involved in a working group which is responsible for the detailed drafting of the standard, and you're addressing comments raised at the two key stages in the process, the committee draft or the inquiry draft, the DIS. The development of a standard can take anywhere between 12 months and 3 years. I think standards making sometimes has an unfair reputation of being a bit slow, but as TC leadership, we're very keen to work on the basis of using some of ISO's recent process innovations. Obviously, virtual meetings is what everybody uses now, but we've also got new commenting and drafting tools that we'd like to use. But of course, we can't lose sight of the critical element in our processes, which is consensus building, and that's the basis of all the ISO standards. I think Peter touched on this briefly. We have different types of standard, and which type is used depends on the nature of the work and the complexity of the topic under consideration, and that deliverable is decided at the inception of the project. Next slide, please. Yes, so the critical elements of the process. New work item development is approved by the TC. The working drafts are dealt with within the working group, and then there are a couple of ballots. There's a committee draft for approval at TC levels, which is to make sure that it's heading in the right direction. There's also an inquiry draft, which goes out to all national member bodies, and at those stages, the ballot requires a 2/3 majority, which is ISO determines as having reached consensus. So consensus does not mean unanimity. And as I've mentioned before, we're looking to be innovative in the way that we do these things. Just to re-emphasize, we're looking for the broadest possible involvement. Next slide, please. So getting more national member bodies and liaisons involved, but also ensuring that across all our members and liaisons, we've got a wide range of expertise from those groups that I mentioned. And there are some links in those slides if you want to find out more, but please get in touch with any questions.